Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Jamie 9 on deck. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Great. I love this chapter. Before I say anything else, I'll get Kyle's take on it. But this is one of my favorite, at least the last bit with Brienne is one of my favorite sections of maybe the entire series. I don't know. It just hits me. I feel like a lot of people don't include this in like their like top
You just love
scenes,
Brienne.
but I really like that. I don't know. I feel like
it was pretty cool.
Well, Kyle, go ahead, do your thing.
It was cool. No. I mean, we're here for you too, Nelson. Don't worry. I'd like to hear what you say.
I'll ramble later.
I'm just glad you fucking said something different this week. And I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up now.
Great chapter.
No, not even that. No, there's another.
Never had a bad day in my life.
Yeah, there you go. Come on, Jeff. I'm mad that I'm now the reason it was said during this episode. But yeah, no, it was a good one, right? Like it's a lot of that stuff, and it's the end of the book, right? So that's what's going to happen. Is it's a lot of the stuff we've been talking about coming together about Jaime, right? Like you're starting to see some of the actual change manifesting in him, right? He's still kind of fucked up. He still has that weird conversation with Cersei a little bit, but he does let honor win somewhat there, right?
Yeah.
Which is even strange. So
Exactly. Kind of like a good like conclusion to Jaime's arc throughout the book, right?
It's interesting why now, like why choose honor now type of thing. But
yeah, I mean, where he's like, this is different than in the Sept, but it's like it's not like
yeah, different to who? Different to you?
Well, even if you want to like get into the whole like prestige or whatever, and maybe that Sept didn't have any prestige, there's still your dead kid in the room in that other one. Like,
for sure,
nothing is gonna be.
Sure. So hang on. We can talk about this a little bit, but let me get the synopsis out. So a quick synopsis is basically it starts with Jaime in a council meeting of some sort. Tommen signing a bunch of letters. Kind of boring, but there's some interesting stuff in the letters.
I knew you'd love them.
Yeah, he's got a whole list, I'm sure.
He leaves that meeting, and on the way when he's walking through the yard, he sees the Northmen leaving along with Arya Stark. So again, we can talk more about that.
Yeah.
Then he goes back to White Sword Tower. Cersei's there waiting for him. He has a conversation with Cersei, like Kyle said. Then basically Brienne comes and has a conversation with Brienne. And he gives her a sword. So for those of you who aren't reading along, that should let you know which chapter this one is.
He gives her like the sword too.
Yeah,
right?
the best sword ever. Yep. So you want to get into it, or we can go back to the Sept verse White Sword Tower talk if we want.
I mean, we can finish that argument. Like, I don't care if you want to say one room is fancier than the other, like whatever. But there was this added part of that the first time that made things even more fucked up, right? Like it didn't matter. Yeah, like it was like that alone is enough to be like, I don't know, man. Like you kind of broke some rules to do it the last time. Where are you getting rules this time?
Yeah, to me, what I take out of that is, and again, I think it's kind of maybe a stretch, but like Jaime doesn't take anything seriously. It seems like if before Jaime has gone through this like travel with Brienne and kind of has this realization that he kind of wants to switch the way he's doing things and be honorable from now on. It seems like if he hadn't had that, then he would have no problems having sex with Cersei in White Sword Tower, right? He's just like, who cares? It's just words I said, right? But I feel like that's kind of why he doesn't, he draws the line there. It's like, I don't give a fuck about the Sept. I still don't take religion seriously, but this is something I'm taking seriously from now on is my job as a Kingsguard.
My vow, my honor as
Yeah. And that was definitely, I was going to say, that was to add to what you were saying. I was going to say that was what the last Jaime chapter was really about, right? It was the weight of this role kind of hitting him.
Yep, I'm gonna do it for real.
For sure.
I'm gonna do it as good as I can. Exactly. I think that's hard. It's a hard argument to back up though, because like the vow doesn't say you can't have sex in White Sword Tower. The vow says you can't have sex, right? So he had sex, except he's still breaking his vows as a Kingsguard. But I think that's kind of what's meant to be symbolized by.
I think it's the sister part. It's kind of fucked too, right? Like,
well,
I mean,
yeah,
and he's well aware of that's very taboo. But at the same time, he's arguing for coming out with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. So we can get more into a little bit of that when we get to the Cersei part. Let's jump into the top.
Let's jump into the chapter. So we start off with Jaime watching Tommen sign a bunch of like decrees, right?
Yeah.
Bills. I don't even know what they're called in this world. But he's also thinking about all the bruises because we learned that he's been trying to train with Sir Marbrand with his offhand, obviously, and he's getting his ass kicked. So he's sore from that, and he's bored as shit watching Tommen sign his 9-year-old signature on all these decrees.
Yeah. Jeff, I don't know if you ever like batted lefty, but
I've messed around. I've messed around in the cage and swung lefty a little bit.
It's like it's like some sports say like you have to learn with your left hand either, like your offhand either way, like basketball, right?
For
like,
sure.
I'm not great at basketball, but like I can dribble left-handed. Obviously not as well, but like but it feels awkward.
Yeah,
but like,
you think you can, but you can't.
I'm just saying. Jamie has this quote where he says, "Every instinct he had was wrong. He had to think about everything. Where once he had just moved, and while he was thinking, Marbrand was thumping him. His left hand couldn't even seem to hold a long spear properly." So like I'm thinking more like golf or tennis. Like if you told me to play golf or tennis left-handed, like no shot. Not that I'm great at those right-handed either.
Play
but
hockey left-handed. Get out of here.
I mean, even to be honest, like I play basketball still a lot, and I played a lot in my life, and like I have been trained enough to like I'm super confident like going up with a left-handed layup, and that's like so like imagine Jamie with like I mean once you only have one hand, like I can't do a lot of things left-handed in basketball because I still favor my right hand, but like if you only had one hand to do things with, like at some point he should get better faster than if you could rely back on your other hand. But you learn it's pretty super quick. Hard. Like it's so like even like dude, just think about like wiping your ass with your opposite hand. Like I don't know if I could. It'd be messy.
You gotta get a bidet, man. That's what I'm telling you. Get a bidet. 1-800 get a bidet in your bathroom right now.
I'm a bidet fan from my days in Europe. But
get one in your house, dude. Oh man, you guys are missing out.
I'll get it on the list.
Not kidding. $100.
I'm glad I didn't use the bathroom at Kyle's house. That would have been a shock to the system.
You don't have to use it either.
You'll never feel better. I'm a bidet fan. I'm a supporter. So
Jamie's been training. On the training, Jamie does think, like Jeff said, he's been training with Marbrand, kind of because Marbrand's been like the family friend, really close uncle. He pretty much can trust this guy to keep his mouth shut about how bad Jamie is, because Jamie, again, people probably assume he's worse, but Jamie thinks that if word gets out about how bad he really is, like he'd lose a lot of respect. He thinks that Ilan would have been a good choice too, because dude literally doesn't have a mouth.
Can't talk.
He would be able to charade it though. What did you think?
Exactly, or write it down. Like he might not be literate, but you could figure it out.
We've never seen him try and convey a thought to anybody. Though.
Yeah, he just laughs every once in a while, but it's like clack, 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 clack. We've heard he has like a clacky laugh.
You love those quotes.
All right, let's get into the list of bills.
Yeah.
I'll just rattle through them. Stop me if there's anything you guys want to talk about more.
Okay.
Edmure and Brendan, Blackfish, are getting stripped of all their stuff. Riverrun and all its lands are going to Sir Emmon Frey, and he's husband to
Jenna. Which is the Lannister, right?
Exactly, she's a Lannister. So
I was going to say that was the Lannister.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're taking and giving to the Freys, but they're also kind of like giving back to themselves, right? So
for sure. That's all this was.
Yeah, and these guys were the parents of Cleos, who was like on the road with Jamie, right? So decree legitimizing Roose Bolton's bastard son and naming Roose the Warden of the North. That's kind of interesting. Again, what does that really matter? Like, it's just a title, but pretty interesting.
Well, what do you mean, though? Like, what? Why is it just...
I don't know. It would be like it'd be equivalent if like someone legitimized Jon and he's like an official Stark now. Like I'm sure it would feel good. I'm sure Jon would like that, but like what's it really changed is kind of my point, right? Like,
which he would become heir to Winterfell.
Well, you'd get an heir, yeah, exactly. Because like now Roose has a bigger role, so that his son is gonna like need, right? Like that he's the guy that took over what's her name stuff,
Lady Hornwood.
Yeah, exactly. So like Roose got shit to do, and this dude's got he's gonna have to be kind of. Like, they need more help up there is what I'm getting at. And Roose is obviously on the Lannister side enough to be of use.
Yep. And we know Ramsay's not a great guy, and he's legit now, basically.
Well, yeah, and we learn later that he's going to be marrying a Stark, right? Quote unquote a Stark.
Yeah, he's marrying Arya, who leaves later.
So he's getting even more powerful. His power is like doubling here and easily. Anyway, continue your list.
Very official on paper, right?
Yeah.
Next one, a decree granting Rolf Spicer the title of Castamere, or giving him Castamere, so the old seat of House Rain, and he's now a lord. Gwaine Westerling, his wife Sibel, and Jane Westerling are all pardoned. So this is the lady who married Robb and her family. And then there's pardons for a bunch of storm lords, pretty much like people who would have been on Edmure's side, but have apparently seemingly joined back up. They're like, okay, this is over. We're joining back up. And that is Jonas Bracken, Carl Vance, Lyman Goodbrook, and Lord Mooten. Willem Mooten. We might not have got all their names, but that's all their names.
Did you say Westerling?
Yep.
Yeah.
I said the Westlings got pardoned.
I must have. Okay.
Nobody stopped me to talk about it more.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, we kind of thought at the very least that the dad seemed sketchy, right? Or I thought one of them kind of seemed,
The
not
dad
quite.
seemed like he wanted to not be part of it. We had never actually seen the dad. He stayed behind. He was like, "I'm staying over here."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, like, I think they had a reason to kind of get this pardon, right? Like and Tywin has went through this before, where he's like, you gotta be willing to let some of these people come back. Like, you can't just kill them all.
Can't kill them all.
True, but I don't know. Tywin often goes the other route. Like, if you fucked with me, I'm gonna destroy your entire lineage.
But they didn't though. Like, they didn't do anything.
They got in bed with the traitors.
They answer the call. What can you do?
I mean, it was a 15-year-old girl.
And also interesting, this guy Rolf Spicer, who was also with them, he was with Rob for a lot of times.
He was running with Rob.
He wasn't pardoned. He was rewarded. He was given a
elevated,
castle, and he's now a lord.
What was he doing with Rob? I don't remember.
I think he was like security for the Westerlings, or like he's like an uncle, right?
Yeah, he's the brother to Sibel. So Sibel used to be a Spicer.
Yeah, I mean, then maybe they were involved in whatever was going on.
I think this is a little bit of a hint of that, potentially. So yeah, I think that's the list of everything.
So Jamie's like, all right, I'm bored of shit here. Uncle Kevin, you got it. And he's like, yep, go see your dad. I know he gave you a sweet gift. Go make up with him. Like, we need you guys back on the same terms. And he's like, fuck my dad.
Yeah. Jamie's like, it's a mocking gift. And he's like, no, it was meant to encourage you, which I could see that, like, trying to encourage you to get better at sword fighting. But Jamie's like, what, encourage me to grow into a hand?
I mean, to be fair, I hate siding with Tywin, but like, this gift was planned pre no hand, right? Like, this wasn't like, oh, he's back with no hand, I'm gonna give him a sword, like, fuck with him,
Exactly.
Let's give him all these hand gifts. Yeah, I'm gonna get him some gloves. I'm gonna get him some
that'd be funny.
Some right-handed scissors. I'm gonna get him some
right-handed scissors.
Yeah, because Tywin even tried to give this to Jamie when he first showed up. When Jamie first showed up and met with Tywin, he's like, here's a gift. And Jamie's like, I'm not in the mood for gifts. Like, the king just died. I have shit to do.
I got work. Work needs to be done. All right. And then he takes a look at his second son, little pudgy Tommen, and just kind of thinks about how different he is from Joffrey.
He also thinks he's also 9, so pretty much Tywin has 7 years. Pretty much, I guess 15 is. Yeah, he's not 16? Yet 9, so 15 or 16 is.
It says 7 years is what he says here. It would be 7 years before Tommen was ruling in his own right.
Let's say 15. Yeah, 15.
And he was not yet 9. 15 or 16 doesn't really matter. So basically, he's saying Tywin's going to be in charge for a while now.
Yep.
And yeah, Tywin, his favorite part is putting the seal. So he's like, "Can I put the wax seals on now, Uncle?" And Jamie's like, "All right, I'm out."
Yes, it's time.
Marin's there. He's basically just like, "I'm glad this guy doesn't know how much I suck," and he's out into the yard.
Or he thinks of the Kettle Blacks too, right? Kettle Blacks
and Boros. Yep.
Could you imagine getting that letter in the mail, like saying, "Hey man, you own this property now," and it's got this Tommen scrawled on it, like in the bottom, like real big and like lopsided,
like
and
a third grader,
9-year-old. Yeah,
they need to get this guy a digital signature or something.
Like, that's a decree that, like, do you hang that in your office? Like, people hang up their diplomas. Do you hang that in your office to prove that you have the deed?
That's your deed.
Yeah, you gotta keep that forever. Maybe in 5 years you can write and ask Tommen to rewrite it, make it look more official. So yeah, Jamie's out into the yard.
Heads off to the stables, and he's there to see Arya off. He sees our old boy Steelshanks, which we haven't seen in a while.
I don't remember Steelshanks.
I didn't really either, but he was part of the Bolton clan that brought him down, right? They finished off the route. He
was in charge of the group that brought Jamie from Roose to King's Landing.
Gotcha.
He's one of Roose's right-hand man.
So we basically go through this whole charade of Arya Stark being here to go marry Ramsay Bolton now. And it seems like this girl has reluctantly learned the part.
Oh, yeah. She seems an unwilling participant.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure here. It's confusing.
It's just like her tone. Like, the tone is, yes, I am Arya. I love the North.
I'm sure her dad or somebody sold her into this.
It sounds kind of like, it's always hard to tell from the outside looking in, but I do kind of get Sansa vibes, right? Where she's just saying what she knows she's supposed to say. She's reading from the script pretty much, right?
Right. The Sansa script.
He says her eyes are sad and wary. Like, I mean, she is not happy to be part of this. Yeah. Like, she's getting sent off to marry this dude.
They dressed her up. She's in gray and white, looks like a Stark, got the wolf brooch, and they're sending her off.
Off she goes.
She does recognize Jamie. or at least that's in the script. She's like, "Hey, we met at Winterfell," and Jamie's like, "That's not."
Well,
that's not
she's not a
the right one."
fool. Everyone knows who Jamie is. That's like the easiest one. Especially now, he has a hand cut off.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like we said, you need photo ID, but there's a few people. Yeah,
There's a few people that just have a characteristic about them now. It's like, oh, you're blonde. You're blonde, and you're a Kingsguard, and you have one hand.
I was to say Kingsguard. Is
Kingsguard narrows it down to 7.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah. So all right. So as these guys go off, and he just kind of like, damn, like, all right, no one's gonna. And I've said this before, right? There's no photo ID. There's no one even alive to object that this is Arya Stark.
Yeah, I think Jamie does think later when he's telling Brienne about this that Sansa is pretty much the only person that would be able to say nay,
Right.
and that's probably
She'd
not
have
gonna
to show
happen.
her face.
Yeah,
She'd have to show her face, and she's on manhunt.
Nobody that would care enough is alive, really.
Yeah,
Or that would be willing to risk whatever would come
Well, I
of
think
it, right?
I think the assumption is Arya's a little girl. The only people who would really know what she looks like are maybe her close friends, but mainly her family. And her family's all fucking dead. Bran and Rick on her
they're all
head.
dead, and like even if they're not, I guess what I'm saying is like the people that like maybe Lysa or whoever, even if they know, they would be risking too much to come out and talk against Tywin, right? Because like I mean, he obviously set all this up. So
That's true too. Yeah. To your guys' point about her uncomfort, there's a point where Jamie does say she says like she's happy, and Jamie is like, thinks to himself, I wonder why she sounds so scared. So yeah, probably
they've heard. Everyone's heard the rumors of this Ramsay bastard.
I'm sure,
I don't know about this far
Of the
south,
judge
but
for it.
yeah, they'll learn
She's
soon
not
if
from the South.
She might be from the south.
I think Jamie tells Brienne it was a northern girl, but again, it might just be because she was wrapped up.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she just looked like a northern, but I thought it said northern. But
it's all right anyway.
yeah. All right. So while we're at the stables, we see a spot from the fight, and it's where the stable boy had his arm hacked off and then half of his head hacked off. And he just kind of reflects on the fight. He doesn't reflect like he was there. You know what I'm trying to say? Like he put someone else in charge.
He says Boros fucked up, so
Tyrion never. It's the weird part that he was probably there. Tyrion didn't see
But he
him.
said he told his Kingsguard to keep him out of the way. Yeah.
Well, he said Boros got distracted, and that's why the kid got in the way. So that makes me think that Jamie knows exactly, like he saw what happened. So
Right. It just is weird that Tyrion didn't see him if Jamie was obviously there on guard. Like he wouldn't have been far from anybody that day.
Believe me, Jeff, I still think the two of their stories need to meet in some spectacular way here. So I think that's why we're missing it, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I just wish he would have said, like, maybe he gave us the reasoning why they wouldn't have seen, like, oh, I was standing up top of the gate, but I could see, but I was far enough away.
So Tyrion did say he saw 6 Kingsguard. We know there's only 6 in the city. One's in Dorne. And Tyrion had a lot going on at the time. His trial for his life was about to happen. He wasn't on the lookout
everybody
for
else.
Jamie.
He saw Cersei. He saw.
Yeah,
of course,
that's a
he's
good point.
looking for Jamie. You're not going to tell me he's not.
He doesn't
on the
know
look.
Jamie's back.
If he could do the math and count, he could figure it out.
He sent the 7th away to Dorne. That's a good point. But yeah.
So all right, but we learn more about like what's going on with Gregor right now, and he's being treated by Pycelle. It's not going that well, right? So,
Yeah, he's fucked up, man.
Yeah. Kyle, read the quote. Yeah, read the quote about that Pycelle says about like describing his wounds.
The flesh mortifies and the wounds ooze pus.
Pycelle told the council.
Even maggots will not touch such foulness. His convulsions are so violent that I had to gag him to prevent him from biting off his tongue. I have cut away as much tissue as I dare and treated the rot with boiling wine and bread mold to no avail. The veins in his arm are turning black. When I leeched him, all the leeches died. My lords, I must know what malignant substance Prince Oberyn used on his spear. Let us detain these other Dornishmen until they are more forthcoming.
Yep. So we kind of speculated, could there have been poison on the spear? Seems like Pycelle was like, fuck yeah, there was. His veins are turning black. He's convulsing.
My man will not heal, yeah.
And he did take a spear through the gut, but like the veins turning black is a sign of something, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
festering or just...
Yeah, it is a pretty grievous wound, so.
And Tywin is like, you can't let him die. We need this guy. Like, we need him alive.
We need to kill him the right way.
We need him alive to kill him.
Didn't Tyrion have a quote earlier where when he was arguing with Tywin about giving the mountain to Dorne and Tywin was like, "There's more dogs, and the woods is full of mad dogs." And Tyrion's like, "Huh?" He means to mine the mountain for every ore, for all the ore it's worth before he gives him over to Dornish justice or something like that. And here he is, literally like, "Okay, we got literally everything we can from him. He's on his deathbed. We just need to save him enough to kill him the right way."
I mean, couldn't you just like kind of limp him up to the like headman's block or whatever it's called to just chop it off? Like,
yeah, that's true. Like kind of like in Gladiator.
Yeah,
well, I feel like the Dornishmen need to be kind of present.
Yeah, but you just need to get him on stage and bent over in front of some Dornish people, right? So put some makeup on him. Weekend at Bernie's him. You're gonna need like 12 people a weekend at Bernie's the mountain.
Ton of morphine.
Yeah, it's just wheelchair his ass out there. All right. And yeah, so we kind of mentioned Tywin wants to kill him his way, and then there's also one kind of random report of Dragonstone that it's empty. Basically, there's not a whole lot of people there left. The
fleet's all gone.
Fleet's gone, and Stannis is rumored to have gone with it.
Yeah. So why Tywin is bringing this up now is he's basically saying he probably went to the Free Cities to get some sellswords, but if he heard about the trial by combat and he knows Dorne is tenuous, a bold man might have gone to Dorne and been like, "Yo, you're pissed about Lannisters? Me too. Join me." Right. So he's basically like, we need to do the Gregor thing to keep Dorne on our side so that they don't do the Stannis thing.
However, he's pissed and going after Davos, right?
Yeah, that's where we left off. Was Davos let Edric free, and he was mad at Davos.
Oh, he had Davos still, right?
Davos didn't leave.
Yeah. He was at the court. Yeah. That's right. He went up there. Yeah, so I guess, but I mean, that's the only thing I think of is that although we did know that San was like also kind of bored of being, right? That's who was there, Salvador San.
Yeah. Everyone
he was like kind of bored of being. Yeah, he's like, I'm not.
He wants
I'm not
to be a pirate.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of this shit anymore. So like that would explain why there's no fleets as well.
Yep, exactly.
Might not be as bad, I guess, is what Tywin thinks.
Yeah, I think it's more that's for the reasoning for why we need to do the Gregor thing to keep Dorne happy. Yeah. So, but the result of this is Gregor is just screaming. Like everyone can hear him screaming throughout the castle day and night. He's just yelling all the time. And it's funny, Jamie has this quote, "Lord Tywin Lannister could cow even the stranger, it would seem." So it's like Tywin saying like, "No, we'll hold back even the Grim Reaper pretty much." Yeah, like not yet. So yeah,
you're on my time.
Lily's in charge of everything.
Yeah. So he goes back to the White Sword Tower now, and a couple of the brothers are sleeping. One's just kind of chilling in his room because he's got night duty, and Cersei is waiting for him in his barracks, looking out over the sea, looking good.
She's dressed fine, all white, matching the room. Got some emerald to match her eyes. Low cut, had them titties out.
She knew what she was doing.
She knows what she's doing. It's kind of weird, right? Because like we have never, like I said before in the last Jamie chapter, it was the first time we've ever really seen them together from inside one of their heads, right?
At
from,
all.
Like, not
really since the tower, and that was Bran looking at him wrestle.
Yeah.
They were wrestling
for like 5 seconds. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like this whole relation, we knew they had like some type of relationship, but it was all like what Tyrion had thought about or whatever, right? For the readers until last chapter, and it seems way more manipulative than like I don't know what you would call like a happy relationship between siblings, but like it seems very manipulative on Cersei's side, right? On Cersei's
for sure. Later on, like once she doesn't get her way, is when it's like,
oh yeah, she's using
like,
it.
All right, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore, or at least in this conversation. Like, and she admits a couple things. So let's just get into it. So first off, she's just crying that she's just lost the power, or he infers that she's mad she lost the power of her seat on the council now with Daddy back in town, and she's like, I need you to help. I need you to get back with Dad, right, and do what he wants.
Well,
so
she's like, I want what I want, which is what does Cersei want pretty much to happen? To
not have to marry anybody and stay with Tommen.
I think the second thing is number one. Like
that's what I was getting at. She wants Tommen in charge and her to be essentially the same position she is now, or was with Joffrey, right?
And Jeff kind of said it like the way she's trying to get this is, I'm going to get Jamie to talk to Tywin to help me get my way. Except there's like a missing step there. Like Jamie kind of says, like, me and Tywin are on great terms. Why would he listen to me?
He fucking hates me right now.
Why does Cersei think Jamie can help here? What can Jamie do to get whatever he wants from Tywin? say I'll leave the Kingsguard. That's
Yeah.
basically what Cersei says. Like, you
Oh
gotta
yeah,
tell
go
its
back
father.
to Castle Rock. Yeah, like I'll take your legacy, Dad. That would be the kind of the final chip, right?
She's basically like, you have one wild card for Tywin.
You have a
get
get out of
one
jail free
Get out of
card.
jail free.
Yeah.
One whatever I want card from Tywin.
Yeah.
Use it now to help me get what I want. Is pretty much what Cersei's saying.
But
to
it like
Jaime.
fucks him too, though, right? Like it sends him out of town, which is like what he doesn't want.
Yeah, well, not now. He wants to be like Great Kingsguard. Like, I think he would end up like maybe living a good life if he like accepted it. But the problem with
I think that's
Cersei's
hold on,
reasoning,
stop, Jeff. I think that's we can come back to that. I think that's a really interesting point what Kyle said, right? Because we heard about why Jaime joined the Kingsguard. Like how we kind of learned about that earlier in this book.
Was to stay in the city.
He remembered the story where Cersei came to him one night after like he was passing through or whatever, and she comes to him. She's super sexy. He basically sleeps with him, and she's like, I'll convince Aerys to name you to the Kingsguard, and then we can be together forever. And he has this quote where he's like, by the morning, I didn't give a fuck about anything. Like, he had like all these thoughts of like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And he's like, by the morning, we had done it like 50 times. I didn't give a fuck about any of that shit. I just wanted to be with Cersei forever.
I'm Kingsguard now, yeah.
So I think again, this is a little bit of a callback to the way she manipulated them the first time, like way back when, was we can be together. And she's trying to do that again here. She's like, I'm going to get sent to Castle Rock if you do this thing and convince Tommen to just like let Father, like he'll send you back to Castle Rock too, but you can bring Tommen with you and Father will just rule here. And then the three of us can be in in Castle Rock all happy.
I forgot about
seems
that part.
It seems like she's basically trying to do the exact same thing. Like, we can be together. It'll be what you want.
Yeah, I don't believe it though. This is where I think it's wrong. Like, there's no way Tywin's giving up control of Tommen. Like, they're not warding him. They're not warding him to Castle Rock. Like, fine, you two guys want to go. And I didn't even think about this. Like, she wants to be with Tommen, right? This was the flaw in her thinking. Like, she wants to be with Tommen. Nelson said that's number one reason. Tywin, I don't believe it ever gonna let Tommen out of his sight.
I think it's interesting. Does he need Tommen in King's Landing to rule through him? I don't know.
What if Tommen? What if something happens to Tommen riding down? What if he falls down the steps in Castle Rock and
sure,
gone?
Point.
Right. So now we're like, oh, who's the heir now? Like, that's just,
Yeah, I agree. Plus, like, also I think like Cersei's like thought here wouldn't actually work out, right? Like, I think if she did say, Jaime, go to say whatever, say keep me in King's Landing, right? Not don't send don't.
Yeah,
right.
that was the way I thought this would happen. Yeah,
Yeah, but
he
which
would
doesn't
she
make
would
sense.
stay.
that's what I'm saying.
Because
That's
that's
what
put
I'm
him
saying. It
up.
doesn't make sense there because Jaime would still be sent to Castle Rock either way, so they wouldn't be together.
Yeah, that's her manipulating him.
That's literally what I was trying to say for 10 minutes.
So we agreed. The whole thing is she's not. I think she knows that, but that she's not spinning it that way.
No, she's trying. They're like, no, we'll all be a happy family on Castle Rock, and that's what I'm saying. It's like she never would have left because Tommen wasn't leaving, and she would be like, no, I have to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. So, and this is where like Jaime's kind of like, I'm not his dad, right? Like she's like, he's your son. He's like, no, he was, he's just a seed. You told me I couldn't be their father, right? And it's kind of going into this. We've kind of been down this road, right? Of like my feelings towards Joffrey. Now he's just like, I couldn't feel this way for any of the kids, right? Because it would have just been too suspicious.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He never called me father. Yeah.
Any over connection with these kids would have been like dead giveaway, right? Like,
I mean, he could have been cool uncle. Like, I think everybody kind of has cool uncle, right?
Yeah.
But
Cersei also mentions in there that she's pissed about Marjorie getting married to Tommen, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. She's twice widowed, twice his age. Tommen needs company.
Jaime thinks it's a good idea. Yeah, exactly. That's what Jaime says. He needs the company.
Yeah.
Marcella's gone, but he's like, yeah. So, and I think this is again something that had been mentioned in the past. Robert used to joke with Jaime, saying like, "Oh, I don't care that you're a king slayer. Just don't make it a habit.
Don't make a habit of it. Yeah. Don't do it again."
Jaime says here, like, "Oh, I should have made a habit out of it," like he used to say, and then I could have just taken you as my wife for everyone to see. And he says, "I'm not ashamed of loving you. Only the things I've done to hide it. That boy at Winterfell."
But then,
which again, it's a weird quote. It makes you feel good for Jaime because it's like, okay, that's kind of like a stand-up thing to say, but also in the same quote, you're like, I'm not ashamed for banging my sister. It's like, you should be ashamed for that too, but at least you're ashamed for the shit you did.
But then later on, when she's like, look, we can be married, let's do it. He's like, no, we can't be married. We're not Targaryens. And like, but you just said that you wish you would have taken. Or is it the other way?
I think the other way. I think you might maybe have quotes mixed up there. He's definitely like, let's just do it. Who gives a fuck? Like, we're in power. We can do what we want. And she's like, no, we're not Targaryens. It wouldn't work like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. He's still on board. All right, so he's ashamed of pushing Bran out. And then they also get down this rabbit hole of who hired the cat's paw with the dagger. And he's like, did you do it? And she's like, why the fuck would I kill? Like, yeah, I wish he would die, but like, I didn't really care.
So did you.
And even Robert was like, oh my God, it's a shame to let this cripple live. Like
what a horrible life he's about to live.
Yeah, we kill the horses, we kill the dogs if they break a leg or go blind, and like, here's his kid. Like, we should be easier for him.
Yep, we don't give the same mercy to crippled children.
And it's like, oh, light bulb moment for Jaime there.
Well, again, this is funny. Cersei says
he knew already, right? It sounded like he knew already.
Cersei says it. This was one of the times where I got the quotes mixed up. Cersei says that, and then she's like, yeah, Robert was drunk when he said it. It was just me and the children. And she's like, so you think it was Marcella? Cersei says that. And Jaime's like, okay, fuck it. Like, we're both on the same page here. Yeah, like, okay, maybe it was one of the children. They're the ones who heard this proposal. So probably Joffrey. Which is, again, the same conclusion Tyrion kind of came to, because Joffrey got gifted his Valyrian steel sword on his wedding morning. Right, and he's like, I'm no stranger to Valyrian steel, and Tyrion has that whole like,
yeah, he had the whole come to moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Is that are we settled on that? This is something that the fans still kind of speculate. I will say I don't think it's brought up that I can remember again. The dagger thing.
I don't know how it could be. Right, like who would have the proof of it?
Everybody's dead, pretty much.
The assassin's dead. Joffrey's dead. Like who could? Like unless we confirm that Joffrey was in possession of the dagger at the time of Winterfell, I think is.
It just feels kind of anticlimactic to me, I guess. Right. I don't know.
It is.
I'm a believer now. So now this is one theory that you probably brought up to me that like first read through, like I didn't give a second thought to, but like I think with the Tyrion chapter where he thinks about it, and then this one, it's like, okay, Joffrey. Yeah. To really, and the thing that kind of puts it above is him trying to get Rob's approval as a son. Like, look, I can do these things. Like, I'll give the mercy to quote unquote.
Seems very likely. Yeah.
And we've already heard of other instances like that. This book, Jeff, again, kind of fucked up ones where he brought Robert this cat. He cut the kittens out of this pregnant cat, and he brings them to Robert, and Robert beat the shit out of him. But like he thought Robert will be proud of this.
Like, look, I can kill things, and look at like I'm a man type of thing.
Yeah, Joffrey might be doing the wrong things to try and seek approval. So yeah, I think there's other theories. I don't want to talk about them quite yet because there might be.
That's fair.
But we can talk about that in the spoiler section. But I'm kind of with Jeff. This one, I feel like the boring answer is probably the most likely, just because it makes the most sense. Probably
I think it's just too laid out. And at this point, like, what are we going to learn? What do we gain from it being somebody different? I guess is kind of, and I guess we can dive into it if you have a reason. But like, I can't. Like, Cat's dead. Bran is north of the wall. Like, who gives a fuck about it? It's done its purpose of getting Tyrion, I think, through the ringer of stuff. All right.
Agreed.
Yeah, so Cersei, it then goes back to Joffrey now, like, oh my God, like, you didn't watch him die. Like, I had to be there. Like, I couldn't protect him. Every time he was young, he came to me, and I protected him. I couldn't this time. If you saw it, you would have, you'd be just as sad as me.
Yeah, she's trying to kind of like guilt trip him for being a bad parent again. Like, what if all of our kids died? Would you be mad at Tyrion then?
His line about Joffrey here was like, basically like, I should have worn a condom type of thing, like in today's age.
I thought like, I had it, but maybe I don't.
I also don't see where you guys were saying that she wanted to, like, she thought they were all three going to go to Castle Rock. I was trying to figure that out.
He is sending me back to Castle Rock as well. He wants me far away, so he'll have a free hand with Tommen. Tommen is my son, not his. That's why I was like, she's not leaving, right? Like,
she was trying to stay there the whole time.
And it kind of, and it's like, Tywin's not letting Tommen go. That was kind of my whole point. Is like, Tommen's not going with him.
Okay. Yeah, she never spells out exactly what I was saying, but it seems like that's kind of what she was insinuating. It's like, hey, I'm going to Castle Rock. You would also be going to Castle Rock if you did what I'm saying. But then exactly, there's the problem of if you did what I'm saying,
yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that she was willing to sell him out to get what she wanted, and she didn't even care. She was blatantly doing it to him, essentially saying like, if you love me, you will sacrifice like this for me.
Jeff, you know what? It might. Sorry, Kyle, I wasn't listening to what you said. It might be with Brienne. There's a part when he's talking to Brienne and he thinks she's like, "Why would you protect Sansa if she killed your king and your son?" And he's like, "He was never my son.
Yeah,
he deserved to die." Right. So I think it might be with Brienne. I think we can
it's not
find
here
it later. Yeah,
because
I think
because Joff. Here, I found it. Because Joff was no more to me than a squirt of seed in Cersei's cunt.
Who's he say that to? To Brienne, right?
It's Brienne. Loris. Yeah. It's the end of their conversation, and because he deserved to die. Yeah, but I was just like, damn, like he really did not give a fuck about. Like that's like
not give a fuck. Yeah.
That's I don't give a fuck about you at all.
He banged the Cersei in front of his like on his corpse.
In front of his corpse.
I mean, like, what do you?
That doesn't tell you
for sure. All right, so Cersei is like now in like full beg mode. Like you can't let Tywin take Tommen from me.
Not my Tommen.
Yeah, she gets on her knees, grabs the good hand.
Oh yeah, she's full blown. This is like stage 2 or 3 of this scene of like her. She's going through her options, right?
Yep.
Playing all the emotions.
And now it's where she kind of says it, like, you got to leave the Kingsguard. That's what Father will do whatever you want. And she's like, plus he wants me to get married again. And Jaime's like, I shouldn't have been surprised, but he was. Right? Tywin already told him this.
Yeah,
but this was stupid to me.
Wasn't he going to marry him too? Like, wasn't?
Yeah, he's like, you're going to leave the Kingsguard. You're getting married, and Cersei's getting married again. But he told him this. So like, why is he?
Yeah,
surprised?
We need allies.
But to hear it, I think is from her, right? Like, is another.
The other thing that I never realized before that definitely makes Cersei manipulative here. When Oberyn comes to Tyrion before, like, not the chapter of Tyrion's trial, but the chapter before, when he's basically like, "Hey, I'll be your champion." He tells Tyrion, Cersei came to me and was basically being like, "Hey, let's get married." Like, she was trying to convince Oberyn to vote guilty on Tyrion, and she was offering marriage for that. So, like, clearly she's not that worried about getting married to people if she's like trying to.
There you go, Nelson. Good point.
Yeah,
that's a great. That
is a great point. And I think we learn more about Cersei as like, all right, her next step is like, I want to be with you. Like, be with me right now. Like, let's do it. We can be, let's get back to what we were.
Oh yeah, she's definitely using it as a weapon right here.
Yeah. When logic doesn't work, she starts using what God gave her beauty.
She's throwing her cookie around.
Yep.
And he doesn't bite. He doesn't. Not here. I can't do it here.
Props to Jaime.
It's too honorable of a spot. Not the wake of our dead son, but
you took me to the sept.
This is an honorable spot.
Different. And she pulls his wiener out, and then leaves him standing there with this wiener hanging out. That's the best part.
And then makes fun of him for having his wiener hanging out. It's like, come on.
I mean, come on, Jaime. Like, if you're gonna say no and push her away, like, you got to try to get your pants up at least. Like, get your small clothes up.
He's only got one hand, man.
Well, you got to hold it then. You got to use that one hand to hold your pants up. So he's just hanging. He's just hanging around, and then he gets made fun of for it.
It's just bullshit. She makes fun of him. But yeah. It's also, we talked about the serious part of this conversation at the very beginning, right? Where the whole Sept versus White Tower. So yeah, we can skip over that.
Yeah. It's basically like, it doesn't work. And she comes at him. Like, she comes at his manhood, comes at his courage. Like, wow, look how little your penis looks right now. Like, that's embarrassing. 2,
you got a tiny dick.
You weren't even man enough to avenge Joff. Like, if Tyrion killed all 3 of your kids, would you then avenge him? And he's like, I don't even know if Tyrion did it, which is like kind of a whole weird.
That's a cool thing for him to say, and that leads more into my, like I said, the meeting of their story. Is this going to somehow involve Tyrion's rescue of sorts? But yeah, like, I mean, for him to straight up tell Cersei, like, look, I don't even think that should happen. Like, that's like a main plot point for her, right? Like, that's a pivotal truth that she definitely believes.
Yeah. And she's like joking. She's like, "What? You think dwarfs don't lie?" She's like, "Tyrion said he didn't do it," and he's like, "What? You think dwarfs can't lie?" And she's like, "Tyrion wouldn't lie to me," which is weird because we've been over this. Like, him and Tyrion haven't like sat down and had a heart to heart yet. So like, Tyrion never told Jaime, "I didn't do it." He just said, "I didn't do it publicly," which Tyrion definitely might lie about something, saying he didn't do it publicly if he did it.
That's fair.
And this is, I think, the next part is one of the most interesting parts of the chapter. And I
will agree too, though. Yes, if you're gonna say that he thinks Sansa is definitely the one that did it, is that what you're about to say, Joe?
No,
I don't think that's what he was gonna say.
You great golden fool. He's lied to you 1,000 times, and so have I.
Yep.
Talk about a dagger to the belly. Like,
Yeah,
you thought you loved this girl.
punch.
You thought you guys were like, soul packed twins that were meant to be together, and she's just been like, oh nope, I've been fucking playing you like a fiddle.
It's weird though, because like, didn't Cersei say to like Ned, like, me and Jamie were born together, like we belong? Like, so it's not just Jamie that she spills this, like, we belong together. Like, she might actually believe it, but there's definitely like manipulation going on.
Yeah. Well, there's levels to it. Like, I'm here, you're an idiot that you're the idiot that I'm using.
Yeah.
But we are meant to be together. Like, I do love you, but like,
yeah,
I need to be able to handle you. Now now you're saying no, like, fuck you. Like, all right.
It's like,
whatever.
we belong together in a way that you do what I say and when I say it, type thing.
Well, that's the world she lives in, for sure.
Yeah. And then the last part is, like, he just thinks about everything that he's lost in this war. Like, oh, the Lannisters are up, but I've lost a hand, a father, a son, a sister, and a lover, and soon enough I will lose a brother. And yet they keep telling me House Lannister won this war.
Two of them are the same people, sister and a lover, but
yeah. She burns him a few times too at the end, like after the small dick thing. She's like, "Oh, once Tyrion's head gets cut off, maybe I'll give it to you so you can watch you sleep alone in your cold bed by yourself for the rest of your life."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Go," and he's like, "You better go because you're making me angry." And she's like, "Ooh, an angry cripple. I'm so scared." Like, she's literally just coming at him at the end, like, "Fuck you, fuck you."
She would
fuck
definitely
you.
call him out, like, now in like a council or like around other people, like, Jamie can't even fight. Someone fight him. Like, he can't fight.
It's because she didn't get her way. She didn't get her way, so she's going nuclear, right?
Yeah.
So she's like a pity to Tywin never had a son. Like, I could have been the heir that he needed. You're a bitch. That's pretty much what she says to him.
Yeah. All right. So then we get into the last part, which is a more meatier part of the future, I guess you would say. Like, there's some substance going on here. Probably Nelson's favorite part as well.
I think this chapter, like, kind of like we kind of said at the beginning, is great because it's like, I feel like it's great at tying up Jamie's kind of story arc from this book, right? We get him.
Especially with Brienne.
He's fresh. Exactly. He's freshly escaped with Brienne. He goes through the whole, like, definitely a character arc, right? Just throughout this book, ties it up really nice for Jamie, but at the same time opens a ton of new, like, threads, right? Like, we have the fake Arya thing going off. We have Brienne now going off on this journey, right? So
him trying to be in the Kingsguard now versus Cersei and Tywin being at odds with him.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so this, I think that's why I kind of like this chapter. If you actually like look at it like analytically, it wraps up his story in a great way, but also like opens doors for like us to continue on.
For sure.
All right.
And yeah, last one is with when Loras shows up with Brienne.
Yep. Boris, go get them too. Loras and the girl. Who's the girl? Don't worry about it. Bring him down. And it's pretty quickly like, all right, Loras, like, what do you think? Like, she told you the story. And he's like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe it was Stannis.
Well, yeah, because the last time we left him was like, hey, you have to have a heart-to-heart with her. And at the end, if you want to kill her, we'll kill her.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it's your decision. Yep.
You're out. So
this is him saying, so what was the result of that conversation? Yeah, he's like, it's fucked.
Yeah.
Everything's fucked. She seems true, like she's being truthful, but nothing makes sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, and even in that last chapter, there was a few points he had, like, Renly said, like, she would never betray me. Like, everybody wants something for me. Brienne only wants to protect me. So, like, Loras had little points of doubt.
Yeah.
And he's not on Brienne's side here. He just says, like, I'm not certain she did it. So, like, I'm not certain. It's kind of like the Ned thing. Like, you got to be able to look them in their face.
Yeah.
Like the man who passed the sentence to swing the sword. He couldn't look at Brienne and be like, you know what? I know you did it, so you deserve it.
And the other piece of kind of evidence for him to not make a decision, I guess, for the jury to be out, is Courtney Penrose, who stood up to Stannis the night before, and then he, quote unquote, commit suicide.
Exactly. Fell off the tower.
And he was like, why? Yeah. You know, he was so ready to...
Some fishy shit happened, right?
Yeah.
Unexplainable.
I got to give a little respect to Courtney Penrose. He's he's only in one chapter. It's the one where he basically is telling Stannis, I'm not going to give you Storm's End. I'm not going to give you Edric's Storm. And Stannis is like, well, then we're going to fucking attack the castle. And Courtney Penrose has then bring on your storm, my lord, and remember the name of this castle. Like, he's basically just like, bring it on. Because he's at Storm's End, right? So Courtney Penrose is kind of a bad I mean, he knew he was going to die. He was just died doing what was right, defending Edric's Storm, because he knew whatever would end up with him would be bad. So.
Yeah. All right. So it's like, All right, Loris, get the fuck out. Brienne, you look good in your pink, or not pink, in your blue dress. They fitted you up.
She was the blue for Renly too. Renly's Rainbow Guard. She was Brienne the blue because she's got the blue eyes.
Yeah.
And he says she does look ugly. He remembered when she was dressed up in a dress before. She looked ugly then. This isn't as bad, but
it's a little bit better fitting.
Still not great. But he does say she has astonishing eyes.
He's such a dick, right?
Yeah, this is a weird conversation because like everything he's doing is nice, but all his words are pretty dickish.
I think some of this is definitely him, I think, trying to play up that part of their relationship of like, haha, I'm a dick, and that's why we're friends now, right?
Like Brienne changed him, and he doesn't want to let it show
well,
that much.
But she knows, and like it's kind of their joke is that you didn't change me, but you did, kind of thing. I think is kind of what he's getting out of this. It's
you
weird.
wouldn't have done all these things for me and then still call me wench, right? Like, so like he's hanging on to the vocab, but doing things differently, acting differently. He kind of reminded me. Just watched this weekend, Air Bud. If you guys remember.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Aren't there like 12 Airbuds?
Well, the original, and he's got to like let Buddy go, but he doesn't want to. But like he, throws the ball. It's like, get out of here, Air Bud. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Because they're trying.
He's got to let Brienne go to do her oath. But he's like, so it's like, all right, Brienne, you got to go. But maybe I don't want you to go. Like, I kind of like you.
Yeah.
But you got. So like, I'm gonna call you wench.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you wench and ugly and everything. So you have to go now, right? Like, I don't want you here anymore. Get out. But maybe he does.
Kind of like Nymeria, Arya throwing rocks at Nymeria.
That's a good in-universe reference, Nelson.
Yeah. So when he compliments her on her looks, says like, you look pretty good. She compliments him saying, oh, you look, and he finishes. He cuts her off. Like, taking notes on this, I realized he literally cuts her off pretty much every time she says something. She says like, "Oh, you look," and he's like, "Different. Yeah, I have more meat on my ribs and I have less lice." And she's like, "No, I was gonna say like you look good in your white cloak," which again I think is a relationship thing. Like she has definitely told him at some point on their journey, like, "You don't deserve your white cloak. You're a Kingslayer. You soil."
And it's now fitting. It fits him a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, it did sound like she was about to say like you look like maybe you're living up to your white cloak now, or like
I thought it was kind of metaphorically too.
But then like you said, Nelson, is that the next thing he cuts her off and is like, it's new, but I'm sure I'll soil it soon enough, which is what you were saying.
It's like he won't let her compliment him pretty much throughout the entire conversation, which is I think why he cuts her off so much. Because every time he can tell she's about to compliment him, she's like, "Fuck that! I'm a dickhead. Let's keep it that way. You're the wench. I'm the Kingslayer."
Well, I think he's embarrassed too.
Again, I think he knows she changed him, and it's
and he's embarrassed.
Everyone's been in that situation where like, okay, I was wrong, you were right, and he doesn't want to admit that, so he's playing the Jaime role, but he's acting the Brienne role, right? He's doing everything honorable, but he's talking the way Jaime would.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brienne's curious, like, yo, do you think Loras actually believes I didn't do it? And he's like, look, I don't really give a fuck, because if I had to fight Renly, I would have killed him too, but we got things to talk about now.
She's like, you said I had honor. So I was like wondering, when was this? Did Loras say to Brienne what Jaime had told him in private? So I looked. Jaime never said anything about Brienne having honor in the last Jaime chapter. But in the chapter where Jaime and Brienne arrived to King's Landing, remember?
I was going to say that one, yeah.
They meet Loras in the yard.
When they run into Loras and he's pissed, he says something about her having honor for sure in that circle, yeah.
She basically says, like, it was a shadow. Lady Catelyn said, his shadow, I had no part on my honor. She says, you have no honor. Loras says, you have no honor, draw your sword. Then a little bit later, he's like, I want her arrested. I charge you with the murder of Renly. And Jaime's like, for what it's worth, the wench does have honor, more than I have seen from you, and then maybe she's telling the truth. So that's what Jaime had said before. That's what Brienne is referencing here. So she's like, you said I had honor. And he's like, I'm the Kingslayer. Me vouching for your honor is like a whore vouching for someone's maidenhead. So again, he's not taking compliments.
Yeah. So, hey, Steel Shanks is sending up fake Arya to marry Ramsay Bolton. Don't go on some wild goose hunt to try to get Arya, because you're not going to be able to get
He's
it.
like, I know you. I know when you hear the words Arya getting sent to Ramsay, like, yeah, you're going to go fucking or Ruth's rather, but to marry Ramsay. But you're gonna go on some chase, like you said, a goose hunt,
and you're not winning this one. They got a whole army protecting.
I
this
like
girl.
you too much. I like you too much for you to go do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just know now it's not worth it. She's not real.
But what I want you to do to fulfill both of our oaths is go find Sansa, because she's out there somewhere running around, and so she's gonna try to kill her. So.
Brienne's also like, why would you tell me your father's secrets? Like, you telling me that she's fake Arya is betraying your father. And he's like, I'm betraying the hand. Yeah. He's not my father anymore. Because, again, they had this falling out. Brienne's also like, Bolton won't be happy when he learns you're giving her a fake Arya. And he's like, oh, he knows. Lannisters lie, remember?
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, everybody knows. Yeah.
Yeah, Lannisters lie is something that Bruce had told them at Harrenhal.
Yeah, he's paying his debts to Catelyn, right? Because that was like his original deal. Was that he would come here and save Sansa. This is like you said, he definitely is voicing these things that are very Brienne, or he's doing very Brienne things, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like still living up to this deal, even though he's lying about other stuff, right?
Yeah, he says, I'm a good little lie. She's like, why are you betraying your father's secrets? And he's like, he's not. He thinks he's not my father. And Jaime's like, I'm a little lion, and I pay my debts because I'm a Lannister. And he's like, and I did promise Kat her daughters, and one of them is still alive. So basically, he's like, I'm just doing what I say I do. I pay my debts, right? I'm not trying to be honorable. I'm being a Lannister. I'm not being an honorable knight, right? That's why. That's his excuse.
Yeah. Just a little part on Arya too. She's like, before she finds out it's fake, she's like, what? You gave her to him? Like, you swore to Lady Catelyn. He cuts her off. Is like, yeah, but like. It was like a fake oath. Like, she had a sword at my throat. Like, what else was I going to say? No at that moment? Like, she would have killed me.
True.
But he means it, right? He wouldn't do this if he wasn't actually meaning it, but he's verbally saying it. And then I found the line, my Lord Father found some skinny northern girl, more or less the same age, with more or less the same coloring. So,
there you go. Yeah.
From our previous.
Not a spoiler, so you're just making sure.
Just covering my tracks.
Anyway, so Brienne is like, yeah, there's no way that Sansa killed. Like, I don't see that being true either, right?
Not the mother. Or what did she call it? Not my lady. Like, you knew her for like a month, Brienne. Like, relax.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like one of Brienne's great qualities is her loyalty, but I see.
Yeah, but it's kind of blind loyalty. Like, she didn't know Catelyn that well to know like Catelyn wouldn't do. Like, she's implying that Sansa wouldn't do that because of her relationship with Catelyn. She barely 100%. Knew Catelyn, is what
she's
I'm saying.
She's vouching for Sansa way too much on hearsay. Exactly.
Yeah.
I 100%
that gentle girl, Lady Catelyn, said that she had a loving heart.
You never fucking met her. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
You don't know if she would kill Joffrey or not. You don't know what Joffrey put her through.
You don't know what she's been through. Like, Joffrey just put her through like hell for like the better part of a year. I don't even know, at least a year. So
yeah.
I just thought that was like, come on, Brienne.
Yeah, so when Jaime tells her that Sansa's still alive, he's like, and I think Tyrion might know where she is, but I don't think he's saying it. Cersei is convinced that Sansa was involved, and that's when Bran's like, no way, no fucking way. And he's like, she's like, Tyrion did it. I heard, like, that's what Loras told me. And Jaime's like, yeah, there were 2 trials, one of words and one of swords, and they both failed him.
He believes he's protecting Sansa by not speaking.
But so Brienne says, she looks at Jaime and says, you don't think Tyrion actually did it? And he's like, see, wench, we know each other too well. And exactly what you said. Like, he doesn't think Tyrion did it, but Jaime's thought is Sansa did it. Tyrion is doing. He says Tyrion has these like streak of gallantries every once in a while. And the last one that he had got his nose cut off, and this one's likely to get his head cut off.
Well, I still think that's pretty big that he thinks Sansa did it, right? Like, I don't know why he would even believe that. I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Motive from an outsider's perspective.
Motive. I don't think Jaime cares too much about people that he doesn't actually know and care about too. Like, he cares a lot about Tyrion, so like he's not giving up on Tyrion. Like, he has no relationship to Sansa, so like whatever. Like, if Sansa did it, like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah, he thinks she did it, but he doesn't care. That's fair, I guess.
Well, the other thing the story Jaime has heard is the trial, right? Because Jaime has showed up and apparently theoretically has seen the trial. The trial pretty much implicates Tyrion and Sansa in a joint thing. Sansa's just not there to punish. So,
and it's super like, oh, you escaped the day of the murder. Like, that's suspicious.
I mean, that is definitely fishy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
All right. So, why are you here? Here's a gift. I want you to have it. Sweet ass sword. We've seen this sword before, and he wants her to call it Oathkeeper.
a kind of a cool moment. Yeah, take this thing called Oathkeeper, and it comes with a price.
Comes with a price.
And kind of like you hinted at earlier when he's like, oh yeah, I'm giving Arya back to the Northmen. There's a few times here where like Brienne actually pisses Jaime off, but just because she kind of assumes the worst of him, she like assumes that he's being old Jaime when really he's being new Jaime. So that first time she's like, wait, you're giving away Arya? He's like, no, shut up. Like, obviously I'm not giving away Arya. Like, it's fake Arya. Like, that's why I'm telling you this. And here he's like, I'm giving you the sword, but you have to serve me. And he's like, if you think I will serve, and he's like, yeah, such foul creatures. He's like, but there's a price. And he's like, Cersei thinks Sansa was behind it. And she's like, if you think that I would go kill Sansa, and he's like, let me fucking finish.
Yeah.
And he gets pissed off by the assumptions.
I mean, I would be mad too. Like, come on, Brienne. Like,
for sure,
I'm not giving you the sword to go kill the girl. Like, obviously, she would say no to that. Like, she would say no to the sword. Like,
yeah, the sword would be named Oathbreaker if we were sending you to kill Sansa. Like, use context clues. We're giving you a sword named Oathkeeper.
I know, but this is also Jaime, right? Like, this is strange.
He's trying to be nice. Exactly. He's doing the right thing.
I think that's kind of the point. The part of it, right, is like his reputation is so bad that's where she went right away.
We've had this conversation before where Ned could piss down your back and tell you it's raining because he has a good reputation, and Jaime could tell you the clearest truth and you would believe him just because that's his reputation. So reputation goes for a lot in these days. Your word means a lot. But yeah, so he clarifies, no, you're going to go save Sansa. He's like, you're going to basically make it so that me and you both uphold our oaths to Lady Catelyn.
Wasn't there a quote where she's like basically calling out that like, you want me to go save your son's murderer? Did she come across?
He says Joffrey was and he says leave it at King. So hold on, the next thing that right before we'll get to that in a second. I think the only thing before that is basically Jaime tells Brienne where the sword comes from.
Right, it comes from ice. Right?
Ice. Yeah. So Kyle didn't know this. This was something that like in the Joffrey wedding chapter, there's a kind of a hint to it where Ilan Payne has a new sword and Sansa kind of freaks out. She's like, wait, where's my father's sword? What the fuck happened with it? I think when Tyrion first saw the two blades, Tywin was like, he's like, where'd you get Valyrian steel? And he's like, it was
enough sword to make two blades. It was
absurdly large or something.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
So kind of fucked up that Ned's sword, like the Stark sword, got melted down into two Lannister swords. But it is kind of cool that now we're giving it back to Brienne. She's going off.
Yeah, at least Brienne's got one. Yeah.
Which is why he tells her this. He's like, it might be cool for you to realize that you're trying to find and defend Ned's daughter with his own steel.
Is Tommen rocking Widow's Wail now?
I'm sure it's not to the masses, right? It was in hand.
Yeah. So the part about her saying Joff was what does she know about? Did he admit to her? Like, was that like a fucked up pool conversation? Like, I'm trying to think of.
He didn't, but Stannis sent letters everywhere, so I'm sure that rumor is pretty widespread nowadays.
But yeah, this is just like the first time that I remember Brienne even hinting towards that.
It's a good point. I never thought about that, but I think you're right. I don't think they've ever talked about this before, but I think you're right here. But she's been in King's Landing. Obviously, there's people talking. I mean, she's been in a cell for most of the time, but
yeah, I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I don't.
I just don't know what the evidence was of her coming to this point where they have spent a lot of time. I don't remember
She probably heard the rumor at River Run actually, because like Stannis had sent that letter early, so like before Jaime even escaped River Run, I'm sure the River Run like Kat and Rob had received news that Joffrey's a bastard, right? Like I'm sure that Stannis letter had got to River Run beforehand. I think you're right that they've never brought it up before, but it probably was never pertinent before. The reason she brings it up here is she's like, you're literally telling me to go. You believe Sansa killed Joffrey. You're telling me to go protect Sansa, and Joffrey's your son. Yeah. She's like, how can you? She's trying to reconcile. I think that's
how do you justify? Yeah, reconcile. Yeah,
it's just something that like as she in my opinion, if she was badgering him as a Kingslayer and like you're the worst person ever, like she would use that as fuel to be like, oh, you're an incestual person, like you're disgusting. Like she didn't really ever say that like as an insult.
You would think that would be part of on the list of sins that she hated him for. Yeah, that's fair.
So, but however she just kept that one in the chamber, I guess, till now. So
Exactly. You got that one in the back pocket. Yeah, that's the only. I think you're right that it might be a little bit of maybe a plot hole that she never used it as an insult against him before, because she probably had known it since River Run. At least heard the speculations.
Yeah. All right.
But he's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, there's a horse waiting for you. It's ugly as you are, but better trained. You can do whatever you want. Chase after Steel Shanks. Go try and save Sansa, or go back home. I don't give a fuck. I just don't want to look at you.
This is the Airbud moment. He throws the ball, and Airbud's chasing it, and he runs away.
yeah. Throwing rocks at Nymeria.
Right. Same concept.
He cuts her off, and he's like, I'm not Jaime. I'm Kingslayer. He's like, use that sword to clean out your ears. We're done.
Don't you remember? Go on, get.
Yeah. Oh, actually, this is before the Joffrey.
I was gonna say that's why I was getting. I've been getting confused by you guys on that. You've been a little. It's fine, but it's been a little zippy zappy around over here.
Yeah. So that was before she has a Joffrey. She said Joffrey was yours. He's my king. Leave it at that. And he's like, Sansa killed. How can you? And I actually have this part from here to the end as a quote. Let's read. It's my favorite quote in all the books. Come on, we got to read it, boys.
It's your favorite quote?
Yeah, I think this is my favorite quote.
In all of the books?
Might be. So basically, Brienne, the thing we've been talking about the whole chapter, Brienne says, if you believe Sansa killed her, then why would you send me to protect Sansa?
Because Joffrey was no more to me than a squirt of seed in Cersei's cunt, and because he deserved to die. I have made kings and unmade them. Sansa Stark is my last chance for honor.
Jaime smiled thinly.
Besides, Kingslayer should band together. Are you ever going to go?
Her big hand wrapped tight around Oathkeeper.
I will. And I'll find the girl and keep her safe, for her lady mother's sake, and for yours.
She bowed stiffly, whirled and went. Jaime sat alone at the table while the shadows crept across the room. As dusk began to settle, he lit a candle and opened the white book to his own page. Quill and ink he found in a drawer. Beneath the last line Sir Barristan had entered, he wrote in an awkward hand that might have done credit to a 6-year-old being taught his first letters by a maester. Defeated in the Whispering Wood by the young wolf Robb Stark during the War of the Five Kings. Held captive at River Run and ransomed for a promise unfulfilled. Captured again by the brave companions and maimed at the word of Vargo Hoat, their captain, losing his sword hand to the blade of Zolo the Fat. Returned safely to King's Landing by Brienne, the Maid of Tarth. When he was done, more than 3/4 of his page still remained to be filled between the gold line on the crimson shield on top and the blank white shield at the bottom. Sir Gerald Hightower had begun his story, and Sir Barristan Selmy had continued it, but the rest Jaime Lannister would need to write for himself. He could write whatever he chose henceforth. Whatever he chose.
Yep. Great end of the chapter. I would have got choked up and cried if I had to do the narrator there.
Don't you cry at the one dunk? The one dunk part too?
The dunk one? Yeah.
That's not the, I mean, it's a like, okay, like, yo, I got my pages unwritten, right? You could play Natasha Bedingfield in the background, but
well, it's one of those things, like, as I get older, like, I'm almost 30, and I feel like it's one of those things, like, every time I hear a story of somebody who's like, oh, this guy founded his business, but he didn't start his business till he was 32, I'm like, you know what? That gives me hope. I'm not a fucking old man who can't do anything. I can still do something cool if I like start something cool from the ground up if I wanted to. Like, I'm not too old for that.
Like a Song
I
of
feel like
Ice
that's
and Fire
kind of this
podcast.
mentality. Sure. I feel like that's kind of the Jaime mentality here. Is like, you know what? Like, it's not too late. You can always change. You can always do something.
The narrative of my story.
Yeah. Everyone, like, because everyone's had that like thing in the back of their head, like, oh, I've always wanted to become a beekeeper. I've always wanted to start a Game of Thrones podcast. I've always wanted to open a bar or whatever, right? Jaime, he said in the last chapter, I always thought I was going to be the Arthur Dane. Somewhere along the line, it became the Smiling Knight.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And here he's like, it's not too late. I can do it. I can start right now.
Maybe it's like, man, I could just throw some more fucked up shit on this page too.
Whatever he chooses.
And I feel like I'm the guy that George is making fun of with like Sansa and like Dunk.
Yeah,
or like,
dude, you are
Dunk
Sansa.
is the type of hero. Exactly. I like the heroes that do the right thing all the time and become the good guy, right? And that's kind of what Jamie's saying here is like, I can be the Dunk, even though I was the dickhead the whole time. I can become
for sure
the perfect hero. So like, I'm clearly the
for sure.
Sansa.
He just wrote all his flaws down.
That's
not
the other
all
point.
his flaws, but like some major losses of his life, right? Like this is
no
him
credit.
kind of bearing. Yeah,
I'm a loser. I killed the king, and I'm a loser.
A promise unfulfilled. That one that gets me. He's like, what's he say? The cat one.
Yeah, released on promises unfulfilled.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, come on. You're doing your best. You literally just gave the best sword in the kingdom to Brienne on a fucking snowball's chance in hell to fulfill this promise. Like, give yourself some, like, on the promise attempted to be fulfilled, or like let's hold off on writing that line till for a year from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's not where his mood's at right now. His mood's at I've been a shitty night. And like if we're saying that he's turning this arc,
sure,
that I've been so bad. This is part of me being bad. Like he didn't really try. Like let's be the part of the reason why they got captured was because he was fighting Brienne. Like if he was actually like
he was a dick.
Yeah.
If he was actually trying, like maybe they get back to King's Landing. Maybe the whole story is different, but he was still dickhead Jamie Knight. So I think he wants to put it all down as bad as he can. So it's almost like I can look back at that and be like, this isn't who I want to be anymore.
Oh, for sure. This is his rock bottom.
But it's
right?
bad. It's bad for himself, right? Because he does mention that he got his hand cut off, but then the last line is "return safely to King's Landing by Brienne, the Maid of Tarth." He's giving Brienne all the credit. Like she did not return him safely. He got his hand cut off, but I think
that wasn't her fault.
He knows
He did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To your point, he knows it's his own fault. So
for sure, he knows that she did everything in her power to make that happen.
I think too, and this might just be like complete like he wants to kind of put Brienne on a pedestal. Like he's already like she's suspected in a murder of her king. Like she could be a kingslayer in people's eyes.
Yeah,
she wants to kind of build up her reputation in any way you can. Like, oh, people are gonna. I don't know. No one's really reading this, so it doesn't go that far. But like, if people start talking about her, like, there's record now that Brienne did something good, right? And
that's a great point I never thought of, right? Because like Jamie became the kingslayer, and he let that define him. Brienne, and granted, it's not true for Brienne, and it is true for Jamie, but everyone thinks it's true for Brienne. She's the kingslayer just as much as Jamie is in pretty much everyone's eyes, and she doesn't give a fuck.
But
she doesn't let that be
not
like,
everybody thinks Renly was a king, right?
Sure, but Jamie a lot of times does. It seems like, again, a lot of times in his past was like, you know what? People already think I'm the kingslayer. Who gives a fuck? I'll do the douchebag thing.
Sure, I kill it.
I can be the bad guy in your story.
When Brienne has the same excuse, she's like, "You already think I'm the bad guy. Fuck it, I can do the bad." But she doesn't. She's like, you know what? I don't care what you think. I do what's right because it's right. And I think again, he's learning a lot from her. So yeah, a great point by Jeff. I never really realized. Last thing, kind of funny. Even in the Kingsguard book, he names Zolo the Fat. I don't even have Zolo the Fat. I have it as a nickname in the notes, but it's not like his main name. So like,
he was just a big sellsword, right? With a blade, with a rack.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Jamie's taking jabs at the guy who cut off his hand in the White Book. Like this is one of the history books, right? Like,
it's probably the only time this guy's name's written down anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Zolo the Fat. Yeah. So we can leave it on that one if nobody else has anything else. I think we covered a lot of the predictions for like the fake Arya and stuff as we went. I don't know, Kyle, anything else before we leave you?
No, I mean I said it a few times now. I still want to see how
Tyrion and Jamie react.
Yeah.
What do you think of Brienne's mission?
Brienne's mission? I mean, if anybody's gonna get it done, right? Like she's the one to make it happen, and she seemed pretty set on going out and doing it. So it's gonna be a little treacherous, right? They're headed to the Eyrie.
Brienne's just gonna show up in a Sansa chapter, like the Kool-Aid Man, bursting through a wall.
He doesn't even really give her.
Yeah,
he doesn't even give her that heading, right? It's just like go find her.
Nobody knows
like,
where she
is.
No one knows. Yeah,
someone's hiding her. So good luck. Get her safe.
And she's never met her either. Is the other side of it. It's not like like you said, she'll show up like the Kool-Aid Man, but it's like, who are you, lady?
What's the
like,
photo? What's the photo ID? Like, how is she walking through a town of people and being like, oh, you look like Sansa? Like.
Yeah, hopefully she fucks up Littlefinger though. Creepy ass Littlefinger.
She went off like a 13-year-old girl with auburn hair.
Yeah,
that's what we got to go off of.
Looks like Cat. I mean, she does know Cat at least. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see Kyle in the next one for John. Right? Next one's John. John 10.
John 10.
John 10.
Bye, Kyle. See you later.
And we'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Thanks for listening. See you guys in the next one.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for John 10. Now, on to the spoiler section. Jeff, got anything?
Not a whole lot to like. I guess we can kind of talk on your dagger theories that you kind of brought up with Kyle, which I didn't know where you were taking that.
That's a good point. I think there's only really one main other person besides Joffrey that people really talk about, and that's Littlefinger. To me, Littlefinger couldn't have done it because he wasn't in Winterfell.
Right. We've talked about that a lot, right? He wasn't
there.
How would he have done it?
Yeah. Again, he has like motive because he's definitely involved with like lying about the dagger later on. So like maybe he's covering up for himself when blaming Tyrion.
Yeah.
But I think it's also just very possible that he's blaming Tyrion for the dagger out of opportunity, having had nothing to do with the dagger. Like, hey, I can use this to my advantage, even though I have no idea what they're talking about, type thing. So I think that's more likely.
Point of like, if it is Littlefinger, like, how does that change the storyline? If it's Joffrey, I think it does give you a little bit of insight more into what Joffrey's mindset was growing up. Like,
sure, 100%.
I think it plays more to his character than it would be to Littlefinger. Like, we know Littlefinger's kind of fucked up and kind of scheming everywhere. Like, why would Joffrey want to kill Bran? Well, now to get Daddy's approval, like that kind of changes maybe the way you look at Joffrey a little bit.
Well, I think, like you're saying, that makes sense, and we know Joffrey does that. Like I said, the non-spoiler section, he tried to get Robert's approval with the cat thing we've heard about before. To the whole, why would Littlefinger do it, though? Like, there is a big reveal at the end of this book. Last chapter of this book, well, besides the epilogue, is the Sansa chapter where Lysa's like, I put the tears of Lysa in Jon's wine, and then sent the letter to the Starks saying it was the Lannisters, like you told me. So, again, Littlefinger's clearly trying to stir the pot between the Starks and the Lannisters. I think Littlefinger definitely has the motive to do the Bran thing because it seems like a Lannister move, right? So, and that's exactly what Cat goes after. So it would all make sense, and it would be another big like, holy shit, Littlefinger had even more plan than we thought. To me, I don't understand how they'll make it make sense unless Littlefinger has some magic, right? Because he wasn't in Winterfell. There's no birds going back and forth. Like, I don't see it.
He's got a glass candle, just looking at shit through the moonlight.
Like, unless some of that shit comes out, which I think is too much.
And that would be stupid. That'd be stupid.
I don't like that. Exactly. Like, I like Littlefinger being the schemy guy that schemes without like just off his wits.
I'm on the side that too much of, like, we've kind of talked about it. That is, if it's glass candles versus the old gods versus the, I don't know, red priests looking through the fire. Like, if that's like the end of this fight, like, I think that's stupid.
You don't like it because that kind of narrows this whole like 1,000 character story down to really a chess match between 3 people or whatever. Exactly.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in a way it's cool, but like it just takes away like our favorite characters. Like, they don't actually matter.
Sure. I 100% agree. I think it could be played off in a way that it makes the best of both worlds, but I 100% understand
maybe
why that could.
Yeah, I think more likely to fuck it up than not. So fake Arya is Jean Poole, which I did think I spoiled when I said, but she's from the north. I was like, oh fuck.
I knew it came up. The other thing that I was, again, I didn't know how much I wanted to like re-give to Kyle from the chapter, but like what I was looking out for was like, what do they say? The other thing is they say she's a girl in gray on a gray mare. That's something that comes up later. I don't know how much later. Melisandre tells this to Jon. She says, I had a vision of a girl on a gray mare, a skinny girl in gray on a gray mare or something coming to Castle Black. Jon assumes Arya because it is fake Arya. It's not actually fake Arya. I think it actually ends up being Alice Karstark. Fake Arya is with Theon and Stannis. Right, so it ends up being Alice Karstark, but it's a misdirect to being fake Arya because of the gray on gray, which is how they describe her here. But the other thing they say, besides it being the northern girl, which I was pretty confident that you didn't spoil it. The other thing they say is Jaime was pretty sure she was older than Arya. He's like, he never paid much attention to Arya, but he was pretty sure this girl's a little bit older.
Yeah,
I think we did drop the hint that she was being Sansa-y. Right, I said like it sounds like she's reading from a script like Sansa.
Yeah, dropping courtesies, which
is she Sansa's best friend.
It would have been hard for Kyle to pull Jean Poole.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Jean Poole, I don't think, since Game of Thrones.
I definitely, when you like, oh, do you know who fake or like? I probably read that.
I did not ask him that because I didn't want him to be. I feel like asking that makes it clear that it's someone. Perked. It makes it clear that it's someone he knows already.
Right.
Where that's not clear.
Like right now, it's just a northern girl, which again, like it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's a good point because if he thought about it, like, wait, we're in King's Landing, where are we getting a northern girl?
He could probably think about it and be like, okay, there was people that came down with the Starks. Who was there? Like, we haven't seen Jean since they put her in a separate room from Sansa, right? Like they put
Exactly.
Sansa in a high tower, which I don't even that was for Ned, right? That was for Ned being a traitor.
Yeah.
Book 1.
And Sansa heard them talking about Jean in like a council chamber where Littlefinger's like, "Oh yeah, give her to me. I'll take care of her. Like I'll figure it out." Which is to me, I think at the time it's assumed she's going into a brothel, but pops up back here later.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. The only other thing I had was Cersei says at one point to Jaime, she says something like, "You're my shining knight. You can't abandon me when I need you most."
Yeah.
This comes back up again, right? Like the last Jaime chapter I think we have is Jaime's at River Run. I think it's the same chapter as they're snowing at River Run. So it's kind of like winter's here. He gets a letter from Cersei basically when she's captive. And she's like, I need you. I need you to come back and save me. Like, I need you. Like, right now is when I need you the most. You're the only one I can trust. And he rips it up.
Yeah.
And kind of throws it in the fire.
Well, I
it's
think
kind of a fuck Cersei moment. I'm done with you.
Right. I think you really like this chapter, right? I think this chapter is big to see the truth of who Cersei is, right? Like, I think it's really cool for Jaime's art and the relationship with him and Brienne. But reading this again, which again, I haven't read this chapter since the first time I read the book. Yeah. Reading it again, I think you get a deep look into who Cersei actually is. And she doesn't give a fuck about Jaime. Like, the moment he said no, like, you see the real side of her. She's like, fuck you. Like, I don't need you anyway. Like, you're a bitch.
It's so great, though, because, like, sorry, do you have something else to say? I'm not trying to cut you off.
And just like her, I think it was kind of stupid of her admitting, like, oh, I lied to you 1,000 times. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, that's like, damn, like, that's different. Like, you know, everything that almost gives me like everything that you've ever said to me is a lie type of thing.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah, it's not far off. Like, it basically says you can't trust anything I've ever told you. I think I'm glad you brought that quote up because I think it also is kind of a hint when Jaime says Tyrion's never lied to me, and Kyle's right on this one. The next Tyrion chapter, Jaime comes and saves him from the cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jaime confesses to Tyrion about Tysha. He's like, she did love you. She was a crofter's daughter. He does say that Tywin told me that the only reason anyone, even a crofter's daughter, would ever marry you is just because you're a Lannister. So even though she wasn't really a whore, she was only marrying you for the money and to the gain status anyway. So she might as well have been a whore. It's kind of how Jaime's been, what he's been telling himself. So Jaime says, hey, Tywin told me she just wanted it for the money. Tyrion's basically like, you don't know what the fuck, Tywin and you don't know what the fuck was part of my relationship. She actually loved me. So Jaime's, then when they're about to part ways, I don't know if you remember this part, Jaime's like, Tyrion, did you do it? Did you kill Joffrey? Do you remember this?
He says he did do it, right? Which then that changes Jaime's whole... I remember Jaime ends up hating Tyrion then in the future of his chapters.
They hate each other, right? So in Tyrion's head, Tyrion, first off, is really pissed because Jaime just told him about the truth about Tysha. Then Jaime, when he asked Tyrion, did you do it? Tyrion is like really hurt by that. He's like, I can't believe you even had to ask me. He doesn't say that, but that's what he's thinking. And he's like, you know what? Fuck yeah, I did it. Like, I killed your stupid bastard. And he's like, and Cersei's fucking Osmond Kettleblack and Lancel and Moonboy for all I know. Right? He drops all that shit on him and then he leaves. So Jaime, this is the last Jaime chapter of the book, but like Jaime's last scene in the book is Tyrion lying to him. Right? And I kind of believe Jaime here when he's like, Tyrion would never lie to me. I bet you Tyrion probably has never lied to Jaime before. Jaime's lied to Tyrion once.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's clearly bugged him, right? How many times has Jaime thought about, like, in a weird way, like, oh, the debt I owe Tyrion or whatever, right? It's happened 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, a couple times for sure. Yeah.
So he feels, I think Jaime definitely feels in this way, like, Tyrion's never lied to me. I've lied to him. When he lets Tyrion free, he kind of wants to get on level playing field. Let's get it all out there. Actually, I think Tyrion kind of presses him for it, but he gets it all out there, and Tyrion doesn't take it well. Tyrion kind of flips the script on him. Now he lies to Jaime about something very big and fucks off. So, again, big wrench in the relationship. So, again, I think it's kind of great.
Yeah.
I think that whole he never lied to me is maybe a little foreshadowing for that.
Which is, it's curious of, like, it's obviously setting up a reunion for them, right? Like, why put them at odds if they're not going to see each other again?
Well, it's interesting because if you think about show, I think we can't really go off the show at all on this one because in the show that doesn't happen. Jaime doesn't say the thing about Tysha. In the show, Tysha was a whore. that Tywin just punished, right? And I don't think Tyrion lies about Joffrey in the show either. I might be wrong about that one. Do you remember? Does Tyrion tell Jaime?
I don't think he does.
I don't think he did. So,
but he leaves and Jaime comes to
Jaime's mad about Tywin.
Like I think it's
Jaime's mad about Tywin.
Yeah,
he sends Bronn to meet
okay.
Jaime in secret, and
they are not friends.
Yeah, Tyrion gets in connection with Bronn, and this is what happens in the show. Tyrion gets in connection with Bronn. Bronn tells Jaime he has something to show him down near the dragon skulls, and it's Tyrion. And Jaime's mad at first, and he's like, "You killed our father," and he's like, "He was going to kill me. Literally, he was going to kill me for something I didn't do. Like, what do you want?"
Yeah.
So
right,
he kind of plays off that way, and then they're happy-go-lucky. I don't think a reunion can be that smooth anymore. Jaime thinks Tyrion killed Joffrey. Again, I don't think Jaime really cares about that. He said it today. Joffrey was nothing more than me than some seed in Cersei's cut.
Yeah.
But the other way, Tyrion, I think would have a way harder time accepting Jaime back after the Tysha reveal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's all I have for this one. Next one, John 10, good one. It's where he has to go out and meet Mance, and Stannis shows up at the end. I don't know if by the end of the chapter we know it's Stannis or not, though.
I think it's just who's riding through, right? Like it's just
a lot of horses, like too many to be Night's Watchmen. So Kyle might have clues, especially after this one we talked about a little bit. Stannis isn't there anymore.
Stannis not being there.
I felt like also I could, because Kyle was asking about it. He's like, wait, he was mad at Davos, right? Like, I could have reminded him, because it's not a spoiler, that basically Davos was like, yes, I let Edric go, but here's a letter from the North.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where the chapter ended. But I didn't want to remind him that, because let's let him be surprised by the John chapter. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys in that one.
I think we're doing a pretty good job with Kyle.
Yeah, this thing's good.
Leading him on.
And again, we're at the point where show is pretty much...
Yeah, it's different.
Like, I think the only thing he knows is, again, it's something that hasn't even happened in the books yet, which is the Hodor thing.
Yeah. I mean, he still believes characters live and die.
I don't know what that means, but...
Like, he was like, I know Tyrion from the show. Tyrion makes it to the end, so I don't think he's going to be guilty at this trial. Or, like...
That's fair.
Like, he's like, oh, okay, he's guilty, but he's not going to die, type of thing. Like, it's...
Yeah.
He doesn't think... He's going to, like, well, I think Dany's going to come west and become the Mad Queen. Like, But, yeah.
So, I mean, for this book, we pretty much got a bunch of John ones, I think, an Arya and a Sansa, and that's it. Like, we've seen the last of Dany, we've seen the last of Bran, I think both till Dance of Dragons. This is the last Jaime till next book. What I was going to say, interesting. Oh, yeah, when you were talking about Cersei, like how manipulative she is, people love Cersei. Like, some people, like, I feel like a lot of the fans, Cersei's their favorite character. And not because she's, like, a good person. Obviously, they're not like me. They don't love the good guy.
Yeah, she's playing the game.
But she just makes sense, right?
Does she have layers? Does she have layers to her? Like, she's got...
Like, she doesn't think she's... I don't think she thinks she's... She's not trying to manipulate Jaime. I don't think. Like what I kind of brought it up in the non-spoiler. Like, she tells Ned, like, we belong together. I think she actually thinks that. She's just like so twisted that she doesn't understand that, like, you know what I mean? It's weird.
I don't know. She was ready to give the cookie for him to... She knew what she was doing.
But, like, when she sends a letter to him to, like, ask for help, in her own head, she's like, of course he'll help me. He's my brother. Like, she doesn't think of it like, oh, I'm trying to manipulate him into helping me and make it like guilt. Like, she doesn't think of it like that. So,
well, I'll have to give you my opinion the second time through, now that I'm actually taking notes.
So that's what I was going to say. Is the other thing is, now that we're getting towards the end of Storm, the intro to Feast, I've been kind of getting into the audiobook for it. We get prologue, which is awesome. I love the prologue. It's where we get Jack.
Is that the
Old Town? Yeah,
in Old Town. Yeah.
Then we get the Prophet.
I don't remember.
Dampere.
The one thing I don't like is that
this is where we start getting all the fake names for chapter titles.
Yeah, just tell me who the fuck it is. Like,
I agree. I kind of agree. I kind of like it when he does it with, like, Sansa and Arya when they're, like, pretending to be somebody else. But, like, yeah, I don't like when Dampere is just, like, the Prophet or, like...
Yeah, just tell me it's Dampere. Like, I start reading, I'm like, who the fuck am I? Who is this?
Or, like, Victarion is, like, the Iron Captain. Like, just make it Victarion. Yeah. Or, like, Asha's, like, the Kraken's daughter.
What are we doing?
Just make it Asha. Yeah, exactly. So,
like, fine. If you want to name the girl fucking Cat of the Canals, fine. I get it. I'm trying to think of who Sansa... I don't remember what Sansa's fake name is.
Like, how do I even do that in the notes? Like, say we get Arya, Mercy, Arya.
Yeah, you
What's
gotta
that
go.
last aria? Is that aria 5 or is that aria 4?
Yeah, it's aria 5 with quotations.
Mercy is mercy. Mercy is
Or
aria
in
4.
Mercy.
Mercy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Feast of Crows is the prologue. Then we get the prophet. Then we get, I think, the captain of the guard, which is Zario.
Yeah, which is Aristote.
No.
It's the Dorn, axe guy.
The big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, just give me his name.
I can't even remember his first name right now. It's something Hota. I should know his name.
It's Zario, right?
Zaro
Hota?
Zoe and Doxos is the Karth guy. Why can't I think of this guy's name? It's something Hota. And then Cersei. So those are the feast chapters. Think about that. Like Kyle is gonna get. I feel like we need to warn him. Like, hey, don't expect to hear from anybody you know anytime soon because we're gonna get.
I don't know.
We're getting random Old Town, Iron Islands, Dorne, and then Cersei. Even like back to where we know it's not even characters we know, and then it might be Brienne.
If I remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
The Iron Islands was like a confusing chapter to even like digest and swallow. I'm like, what the fuck is this King Smoot thing? Like, what are they doing? They got to swallow the water. Like, what is going on on the Iron Islands?
I think a lot of people don't like Feast, and I think that's a lot because a lot of people only read the book series once, which makes sense. It's a huge series, and a lot of time in Feast, like you're saying, you see the chapter title, and half the time you're just trying to be like, what the fuck is happening? But I think on a reread, when you can kind of figure out like who we are, like who we're reading, where we are quicker, it's kind of better because you understand like how it's connected to everything else.
Nothing's worse than like being 2 pages into the chapter and be like, wait, who the fuck am I? This is who?
Yeah.
Exactly. Do I got to start over? Like, did I comprehend anything I just read?
Yeah. And normally you did miss it. Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So I think again, Feast is kind of cool in that way, but because we get all new stories, but it's kind of again a shock to the system because people we don't know. Also going to be cool for the fan art. Hopefully people like the fan art, not fan art, but the art that we put up for the podcast. We'll get new characters. So yeah, we're lingering at this point. We already got a long podcast, and House of the Dragon episode will be coming out sometime soon. I don't know how we're gonna figure that out, but we'll be getting double podcasts for the next couple months, I guess.
Oh, dude, you're gonna be double Sunday, and
we can talk about it off air. But we'll see you guys in the next one
see you guys.
John 10. And if you listen on YouTube, go give us an Apple Podcasts thing. Right, you can like on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I think you can rate on Spotify. Help us out. Hook us up. See you guys in the next one. John 10. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.